Hey. Okay, guys, so welcome back to our little weekly chit chats. Today we are at Bicentennial Park. I usually come here at night just because I like the dark, but I actually want to talk about something different today. So here's the topic: why you should hop on the bandwagon. I know I usually talk about why you shouldn't hop on the bandwagon, but today is a little bit different. It's actually why you should. And I've been thinking about this kind of for the last 3 days. So lucky for you, these thoughts are they've been simmering. Okay, they're not like as new. And this is like an interesting ass perspective because check this out. Like, normally, everyone's telling you, like, oh, don't hop on the bandwagon, don't do what the others are doing. Or they're saying some shit like that. But here's the thing. I see Black Girl YouTube popping right now. I feel like I've actually seen it popping for a while because it had to. But there's all the people, they're doing it right now. They'll be online and they're saying like, "Oh, everybody has a channel. Everybody wants to be an influencer. Influencers are dying." Blah, blah, blah. They always say stuff like that, don't they, Per? They say stuff like that. It's not true. Tell them. Did you? What did you do? How do you stick yourself in a bag? I'm so confused. Anyway, yeah, so they'll say all these things. Oh, everybody's doing it, so you don't do it. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that you should definitely speak now, right? Because here's the thing. Like, I feel like some of the conversations that we're having, like those of you who've been here for a while, we've been having these conversations kind of for a minute. They weren't I don't script, right? Like, I'm definitely a sort of like riffer, like I just talk. There's no script to this. Other people script, and so I think like the Zoe Unlimited of this situation, or the it's this girl, it's Kezia or it's Kesha or something, whoever she is, she's great. She does this too. And these girls are script. They're like the Kelly Stamp scripters who like find one niche topic and then they watch a bunch of videos about other girls who are talking about it, and they say the same thing, but they say it better, and their editing is better, and their audio is better, and whatever. It's better, and I get it because like that's kind of cool, but that's just not what we do over here. And I wanted to like make that clear. Like, that's not what I do. So what I'm saying is you should hop on the bandwagon of just vlogging, like just saying, I have an idea, this is what I'm going through, and kind of talk about it. It's some good kind of context to watch if you're like, what the fuck is she talking about? I made a manic pixie dream girl video. You should watch that because I think all of the references that I included, because I do include references, go read those, watch those, and I think you'll start to understand what I mean, because it is a niche space and you can like really participate, and I think it pays off. It pays off in a lot of ways. It's not just, it was for representation, but here's where we start to. I knew this was going to happen, but it happened a little faster than I thought. So this was like last night, or it was the day before. I didn't actually have time to dive all the way into this, but if some of you guys are watching, for Harriet, Astro, the Kimberly Foster girl. So she made a video where she was talking about what happened with that. It was a black female VC fund. Now, let's go back. I've talked about tech on this channel before. This is not a tech channel, but I'm just going to cover this briefly to give you some context of like how we got here. So basically, like venture capital, Silicon Valley, they're like married and attached at the hip, right? And so you can kind of tell, pretty much for a very long time, venture capital has been going to like Stanford and Berkeley students. They have an idea of, a food delivery app. Okay, another AI tool to like literally categorize pictures. It's the same app over and over, and they will go to the same, they'll go to Silicon Valley Bank, and then they will get some VC to give them money because they're like, "Oh my god, you're so smart. You invented food delivery for the millionth time," and they'll give them a fuck ton of money. Other people from other marginalized groups will be like, "Oh man, I'd really like to like feed the homeless," and they'll be like, "Fuck you, you're black," or they'll be like, They'll be like, "Oh, I would really like to get the homeless people off the street, or I don't solve any problem, help with mental health access." They'll say any, I don't know, pick anything that's basically not a food delivery app. And there's somebody who's been working on it, and VCs who have been laughing out of their asses to be like, "We definitely are not going to fund this because you are not from Stanford and we hate you," right? Okay, anyway. So basically, there was a fund of black women who was like, "Oh my God, like black," because here's the thing, you can look at the stats. Black women basically get 0.0001% of all of the VC funding that goes out every year. Right. So black people in general, like men and women, make up 13% of the American population. So let's just say like 6% of the population is black women. That's being very conservative, right? So 0.00001 goes to this group. And so basically, it was like a group of three black women who are basically already rich and started their own fund with their own money. And then they collected groups of people who were like, "We support this grand idea of like also deciding to put money and resources behind black women who receive the least amount of VC funding ever." And other people were like, "Fuck you. No, this is awful." And they literally they took it to the Supreme Court, I believe, or it was like this is a big court case that I think is ongoing. But it looks like basically that fund is at to shut down because people, I feel like the Elon Musks of the community have basically felt like, "Oh my God, one VC fund has opened and now they have tried to put money behind black women, and other people think that this is racist." So now they shut the fund down. Okay, so that has been happening, and I've been watching this unfold for the last like month and a half. I didn't speak on it because I feel like Kimberly did a very good job of analyzing it. Other people have made videos analyzing it. To be honest, I just don't care because I think that the algorithms will speak for themselves. One thing that I know just from like organically growing all of my platforms on my own is that like if you continue going, you will improve, first of all. So that's if you have no audience, right? Let's say like no one watches your content, no one engages, no one cares about you, and no one likes it, but you keep going just by the sheer fact of like life and progression. You will get better because you're doing the same thing over and over. So, okay, so some time has gone by. You went from sucking at telling your own story to getting a little bit better. 3 years in, you're going to be pretty fucking good at telling a story. Like, you're going to be a decent storyteller. Welcome to my portion of this journalism space. And I don't know why, but I think enough of us have like cotton on to doing this where you can hear some really great stories that are not like Tyler Perry melodramas, okay? And this shit is all the tea. It's all the tea. Given that it is all the tea, it looks like Goldman Sachs has now devoted $10 billion to investing in black women. So, my oh my, how the tables have turned, and my oh my, Goldman Sachs has some deep ass pockets. So, keep making that content, ladies, or build something because like that's a lot of ducats to give out, and there just ain't that many black women in the country. It's 6%. Okay, like you at this point you can just make an idea about throwing rocks, and probably eventually it will come across the desk of that fund, and eventually. If you craft your narrative in a good enough way, I think that the irony around all of it is just like it's kind of striking because it's going from a place where I think that fund had seriously good intentions. It was a very small fund relatively, and I don't even it like isn't actually a problem. Basically nobody funds black women in Silicon Valley. I don't know why there's all these narratives that like diversity and inclusion helped someone. Diversity and inclusion never helped black women. Diversity and inclusion helped white women. Like no shade, but it did. Like diverse everybody has always looked at black women in relation to diversity and inclusion as like a joke. Like everything else. Like, oh, the women's movement. That doesn't really include black women, unfortunately. Like it's like investment for black men. Yeah, nobody cares about black women. It's literally just us out here like fucking feeding our cats, breathing our air, and buying our lunches. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. Like, so the fact that that one fund made people so upset, it's like you had to go after the one little breadcrumb that we had, and the like downstream effects from that was like Goldman Sachs $10 billion. Like, I saw this video and I was like, wow. Like, Forbes shared it. I was just like, wow. Like, because nobody cares. No one at all cares about our issues. So anyway, that was kind of a long and short way of saying I think that there's a really interesting ways to craft your own narrative, and Goldman Sachs dollars or no Goldman Sachs dollars, you can listen to my stories and you can become a better storyteller just by continuing to go. There's no real tea there. There are a lot of things I would like to talk about in terms of gossip because we kind of do gossip over here, but it's like melodrama gossip. I kind of want to talk about Trevor Jackson's release party. And maybe we will because we do need some melodrama tea here. We need like a little bit of melodrama tea just because there ain't nothing else. So maybe we'll get into that next. But I did want to pop this on because the lighting's good. The cats are out. Like, let's chat, right?